Automatically does it. Okay, All praise to the Most High. All right, now we live through the Spirit Power Yahweh Shem Shah, man. I'd like to give all praise to the Most High, brothers Yala,
Brothers,
Khan, and we bring out this precept just to kind of kick it off. This First Peter 3 and verse 15. But sanctify the Lord God in your hearts, and be ready always to give an answer to every man that asks you a reason of the hope that is in you with meekness and fear. Shalom down Israel. And that's what we hope to do, right? Is to answer questions by our counsel, by our understanding, right? And help to further edify the nation through the Spirit, man. All right. Let me get another precept. Book of Colossians, chapter 4 and verse 6. All right. Because, I mean, that's what we out here to do as ministers, as teachers, is to teach, answer any questions, teach the nation, go into prophecies. Right. This Colossians, chapter 4 and verse 6. Let your speech always be with grace, seasoned with salt, that you may know how you ought to answer every man. So the Lord said we got to season our speech with salt, right? You know that Jake can understand it because you already know Jake got salt, right? And that every man may know how to answer, understand us, and that we can answer every man. You got
Khan, Shalom. Right, to add on to what the brother said, that's right. We got to be able to, dive into these. Hey, we love questions, right? We love answering questions. Why? Because the Most High always has every answer. Proverbs 15 and verse number 28, right? Proverbs 15 and 28, it says, the heart of the righteous studieth to answer, but the mouth of the wicked poureth out evil things. So you want to study, what to answer. All right, study. So, people, they might have questions. Like the brother said, you got so-called thanks killing, So it's a lot of wisdom and knowledge and understanding that needs to be dispersed. All right, let me get that in Sirach chapter 24. You want to disperse that knowledge like a geyser. All right. Like Yellowstone, water geysers. It's the book of Sirach, chapter 24, and verse number 30, and it reads, I also came out as a brook from a river, as a conduit into a garden. I said, I will water my best garden, and will water abundantly my garden bed. And lo, my brook became a river, and my river became a sea. I will yet make doctrine to shine as the morning, and will send forth her light affair. I will yet pour out doctrine as prophecy, and leave it to all ages forever. So you want to, pour out this doctrine, this wisdom, knowledge, understanding, as prophecy. All right, you want to water the garden. That's what Sirach say. I will water my garden. All right, I'm gonna jump up to verse 25, Sirach 24 and 25. It says, He filleth all things with his wisdom, as Pison and as Tigris in the time of new fruits. He maketh the understanding to abound like Euphrates, and as Jordan in the time of harvest. And you want to make this understanding to abound like the Euphrates River. All right. And Jordan in the time of harvest, when you go into it, I believe they go into that river being overflown with a lot of water during the time of harvest when you go into it. So that's how you want to make, the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to disperse us. You got it.
Khan, that's right. Let me get the book of Sirach, chapter 44 and verse 1. So let's see what our fathers did, because our fathers did the same thing. They dispersed knowledge, to the people that were under them, to the people that were that they were leading. Right, Sirach 44 and 1. Let us now praise famous men and our fathers that begat us. The Lord have wrought great glory by them through his great powers from the beginning, such as did bear rule in their kingdom. So these men bear rule in their kingdoms. These men were kings. These men were rulers. People, depended on them, cleaved unto them. Right, and it says, such as did bear rule in their kingdoms, men renowned for their power, giving counsel by their understanding and declaring prophecies. And that's what we're doing when we're answering questions. We're giving counsel by our understandings based off what we know through the scriptures, based off what the scriptures say. That's what our forefathers was doing. And it says leaders of the people by their counsels and by their knowledge of learning meet for the people, wise and eloquent in their instructions, right? And that's what we got to be, is wise, eloquent in our instructions, that the people that's asking these questions may understand, right? Hey, learning meet for the people, right? Let me get the book of Sirach, chapter 33. Actually, Sirach chapter 24 and 34. Behold, that I have not labored for myself only, but for all of them that seek wisdom. So learning meet for the people, meaning guess what? Whatever we learn is not just for ourselves only, it's for the people, man. It's not just so we can hang on to wisdom, say, we got all the treasures of the Lord. All right, stack it up in the day of evil, and y'all can't know anything. All right, you learn it for yourself. That's evil. Right, I'm going to get one more. I'm going to go to Job chapter 15, verse 8. It's our job to declare these prophecies. Right, declare these counsel, answer questions. Right, Job 15 and 8. Hast thou heard the secret of God, and doest thou restrain wisdom to thyself? So we're not going to learn the secrets, the dark parables, right? Learning meat for the people, and we're not going to keep it for ourselves, man. Right, we have to give that to the people. All right, you got it.
Yeah, that's right. Right, let me get that in Malachi chapter 2. And the Lord said the priest, if you're a true priest, you're going to keep knowledge within your lips. Everybody's not a priest, man. Everybody's not a king. People are not strive. Do you hear Jake talking about something? I want to be a priest. All right. Have you heard that before?
Jake?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talking about I want to be a priest.
Come.
Right? And you don't hear Jake talking about I want to be a priest.
Not at all.
Right? But guess what? The Lord said the priest's lips shall keep knowledge in Malachi. So we got to strive to be priests. And the priest had the Urim and the Thummim
Right.
in Exodus, the 28th chapter. This Malachi chapter 2 and verse number 7. It reads, for the priest's lips should keep knowledge, and they that seek the law at his mouth, for he is the messenger of the Lord of hosts. So the Lord say the priest's lips should keep knowledge. You have to keep knowledge within your lips. Because if not, you're going to get caught up with the cares of this world, things that don't matter. And that knowledge is going to slip you, man. All right. But is there any questions?
The first one.
You able to pull it up?
Hold up. All right. How does the mixed fabrics commandment work? We go to Leviticus chapter 19 and verse 19. And it says, you shall keep my statutes. Thou shalt not let thy cattle gender with a diverse kind. Right. You don't want your ox mingling with a donkey. That's confusion. Right. You don't want your lamb, right, mingling with a goat. Right. That's confusion before the Most High. You're taking away the natural purities of that animal, and you're trying to mix it, and you're going to make that offspring a little bit less in power or less in stature. Other than if you had two lambs together, that full potency, man. Right, but you mix in different, cattle, and mix in different things, right? It's just gonna come out as confusion, right? It says, "Thou shalt not, Slakia, thou shalt not let thy cattle gender with a diverse kind. Thou shalt not sow thy field with mingled seed." Right, you plant an apple tree, right, with an apple seed, and then you have a lemon seed, and you put it in the same soil, right? And it says, "Thou shalt not sow thy field with mingled seed, neither shall a garment mingled of linen come upon thee." Man. Now you know here different brothers, break this down a little bit differently. But let's look at the definition of the word mingled. All right, let's look up the definition of the word mingled. All right. right? And it says, let's see if I can pull this up. Mingle definition, right? Mix or cause to mix together, blend, commingle, intermix, interweave, interlace, right? So basically, you can't start. Let's say you're sewing a garment, and it's cotton. You can't stop 30% through, switch the fabric around, and then after cotton, you start mingling. You start putting sewing wool, man. Half your shirts cotton, half your shirts polyester. Half your shirts polyester, half your shirts damn wool, man. Right? That's you can't do that. You can't interweave or intermix right fabrics together on one garment, right? Now we know in certain cases, brothers may have 100% cotton shirt, and then the fringes may be of a different material than the shirt. That's fine, right? But if your shirt is 28% this, right, and then 38% this, and another 45% this, right, the Lord's not dealing with that. And you can break that down on a much spiritual level. This is just on a carnal aspect, right? Let me go to the book of Matthew. Got another precept on that. It's the book of Matthew, chapter 9 and verse 16. And it says, no man putteth a piece of new cloth unto an old garment, for that which is put in to fill it up, take it from the garment, and the rent is made the worse. Right? You bought a new shirt, right? Or you bought a new shirt, and then you rip up the new shirt, and then you sew the old shirt onto the new shirt. We're gonna take away the value of that new shirt by sewing something else on it. Right? It's not 100%. Right? You're taking away the value of that shirt or that garment or cloth that you have. That's what the Lord is saying. And it says, take it from the garment, the rent is made the worse. Neither do men put new wine into old bottles, else the bottles break, and the wine runneth out, and the bottles perish. But they that put new wine into new bottles are both are preserved. Right? You no intermingling wine. Right? You have a new bottle of wine, you pour out the wine, and you put in the old wine into the new bottle. You're just mixing things together, man. Right? The Lord is not dealing with that. So on a carnal aspect, yeah, if you have a shirt, or if you have some type of garment, right, and it's interwoven with different materials, that's what that's talking about, right? Let me get one more precept. Go to the book of Joshua. Now, obviously, right, in this empire that we live in, you have a lot of clothing that's like that, and you may have Jakes in certain positions where that's all they have at the moment. All right, let me go to Joshua chapter 5, verse 13. It's like you Judges 5 and 13. Right? I mean, Jake may all that's what he have at the moment. But at the end of the day, as long as you're keeping these commandments in honesty and sincerity, we're rehearsing the righteous acts. Right? It's Joshua 5 and 11. They that are delivered from the noise of archers in the place of drawing water, there shall they rehearse the righteous acts of the Lord, even the righteous acts toward the inhabitants of his villages in Israel. Then shall the people of the Lord go down to the gates. Right? So we're rehearsing these righteous acts, to do the best we can, keeping these commandments in honesty and sincerity, right? But don't go off, willingly. You have a sewing machine and you're sewing cotton, and you stop. You say, "I feel like sewing wool," and you start sewing wool. That's off. That's confusion before the Lord. All right, what you got it?
Yeah, that's kind of playing the Most High. He's not dealing with mixed things, a lot of mixed things, right? Mixed, let me get this in Proverbs chapter 23 and verse number 29. It says, who have woe, who have sorrow, who have contentions, who have babbling, who have wounds without cause, who have redness of eyes, they that tarry long at the wine, they that go to seek mixed wines. Right? So the Lord, he don't like mixed things like that. You can't mix the cattle. All right. You can't seek mixed wines. You got brothers, they pour in Taylor port, then they mix it in with some Henny. Right? They don't want to be doing that, man. You got brother damn mixing. You got Esau, he mixing breeds, getting a liger. All right, so that's pretty plain. But the Most High, one characteristic about him, he don't like a lot of things being mixed.
I got a precept. Because the law is spiritual, right? I mean, think about the truth is our garment too, man. You have the garments of the other nations. You have Babylonian garments, right? You have the garment of science, garment of Christianity. The truth is our garment. So when you're mixing, when the Lord said not to mix different materials together, you don't want to mix this truth with anything else either, man. The Lord said your garment should be 100% white, right? Not 98% white and 2% wool, man. The Lord's not dealing with that. No mixing garments, right? This is Zechariah 3 and 4. And he answered and spake unto those that stood before him, saying, take away the filthy garments from him. And unto him he said, behold, I have caused thine iniquity to pass from thee, and I will clothe thee with change of raiment. That's what we do when we teaching our people. We're giving them a change of raiment. But what our people like to do is they like to take some of the truth, right, and mix it, or whatever they believe in here. Though with a brother, him and his woman kind of, going through some marriage things, man. And his daughter, the brother in the truth, and the mom is in Christianity. She started trying to mix the truth and Christianity together just to appease them both. You can't do that. The Lord only wants 100% white raiment, man. 100% truth, right? Potent, right? So on a spiritual level, it's kind of going into mixing different doctrines, right, with this garment the Lord gave us. Let me give you one more precept. This Genesis chapter 49. Genesis chapter 30, 5 and 2. Then Jacob said unto his household and to all that were with him, put away the strange gods that are among you and be clean and change your garments, right? Change your garments, meaning, hey, change, not physical garments, but putting away the strange clothing, the strange ideologies, the strange doctrines, and put on this truth, man. That 100% covered. Okay, you got anything else on that?
Nah.
Got it. Who was the king in Daniel 9 and 23?
Okay, let's go to it. Right, this is the book of Daniel, chapter 9 and 23. At the beginning of thy supplication, the commandment came forth, and I am come to shew thee, for thou art greatly beloved. Therefore understand the matter and consider the vision. Verse 24, 70 weeks are determined upon thy people and upon thy holy city, to finish the transgression and to make an end of sins, and to make a reconciliation for iniquity, and to bring in everlasting righteousness, and to set up the vision and prophecy, and to anoint the most holy.
I think they talking about who was the king during this time. I mean, if you read verse 1, it tells you.
Yeah, I'm trying to. God, I thought he said, "Who's the king?" in verse 23. I'm finna say, I don't think it is a king, but if you're talking about the king during the time of Daniel, you got Daniel 9 and 1 in the first year of Darius, the son of Azores of the seeds of the Medes, which was made king over the realm of the Chaldeans. Right, so you have King Darius. Oh, you got three Dariuses. You got Darius the Great, Darius the Second, Darius the Third. So, I mean, if that's your question, who is the king during this time, then it would be Darius the Mede. But, if you're talking about Daniel 9 and 24 on down, it's going into, the 70 weeks, the abomination of desolation, and the covenant, and the Messiah being cut off, and the three decrees. That's I'm not sure if that's his question or not, but we can move on.
Yeah, you just got to read the context, verse 1. Right? How do we explain Ahaziah being 42 and 22 during his reign? Khan. So sometimes you see some of that during the scriptures. All right, let me go actually get an example of that. Let me go to Second Kings chapter 24. Let me see if I can find another account of that. All right. So in one context, you may see the age being this, and in Chronicles or Kings, you may see the age being this. All right, and there's a reason for that. All right, I'm going to go to Second Chronicles chapter 36. Gone. All right. So here's an example. This is the book of Second Chronicles chapter 36 and verse 9. Right? It says Jehoiakim was 8 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 3 months and 10 days in Jerusalem, and he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord. So now, in one context, Jehoiakim was 8 years old when he began to reign. When you read Second Chronicles 24 and 8, I mean Second Kings 24 and 8, it says Jehoiakim was 18 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned in Jerusalem 3 months, and his mother's name was Nehushta, the daughter of Elnathan and of Jerusalem. And he did that which was evil, son of the Lord, according to all that his father had done. So which one is it? Well, is he 8? Is he 18? Oh, the Bible contradicts itself. Oh, we shouldn't believe in the scriptures. And that's what people may say or Christians may come with. Not understanding that you have eyewitnesses that was living during this time, and you had different recorders during these events. Right? David had recorders. You had different men that were scribing out these different things at these different times. Right? It's like looking at a fight. You're going to see it from one perspective. You may have another witness say this happened from this perspective, but nonetheless, there was still a fight. You still had witnesses. Right? This is 2 Samuel chapter 21, and I'm 2 Samuel chapter 20, and I'm gonna start at verse 24. And Adoram was over the tribute, and Jehoshaphat, the son of Elihud, was recorders. Right? So you had different recorders that record different events, record different men in these time periods. These men did reign, these men did rule, right? But you may have one recorder jot one thing down as this, and another recorder may have jot one thing down as this. Right? Let me go to the book of Luke chapter 1. Right, even during the time of Yahushua, they were all eyewitnesses. Right. So example, you have a Matthew, right? He may have an account that's also in the book of Luke as well. Same account, but may have been written a little bit differently. Right. Same thing with Mark, the 13th chapter, Matthew, the 24th chapter, Luke, the 21st chapter. All three of the same accounts, but written differently just based off the eyewitness during that account. All right. Let me get the book of Luke, chapter 1. This is Luke, chapter 1. And I'm going to start at verse 2. Even as they delivered them unto us, which from the beginning were eyewitnesses and ministers of the word. So you had eyewitnesses during the time of Yahushua. You had eyewitnesses that seen the Babylonian siege during the time of Jehoiakim. That was also during the time of Ahaziah. You had different recorders, right? You had these different things. Let me go to the book of book of Revelation. John was an eyewitness as well. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 1 and verse number 1. The revelation of Jesus Christ, which God gave unto him to show unto his servants things which must shortly come to pass. And he said and signified it by his angel unto his servant John, who bear record of the word of Yahweh and of the testimony of Yahushua, Hamashiach, and all the things that he saw. So it's not saying that's wrong, or it's not saying, oh, the Bible contradicts itself. No, you have different recorders that recorded different things. Nonetheless, the thing that they recorded was true. They're eyewitnesses. And you may have one eyewitness say this, you may have another eyewitness say that, right? Just like in the book of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. But nonetheless, these events did happen. All right, you got a point on that, King?
Yeah, another point when you go into it on that, saying the scholars, they even say it was a lot of things happening during the time of the Chronicles and the Kings. Those men, those scribes, they had to literally jot that down to the best of their ability. All right, nobody's perfect or yeah, we're gonna get everything to the T.
During the siege.
Yeah, during the siege, you got the kings going off. people backsliding into idolatry, a lot of sins and wickedness going on. So these men, they have to do the best job that they can. And we can't take credit from these men because the Lord set them up. The Lord had it to happen like that. So it comes with that, and not only that, knowing the scriptures. You got to know the scriptures to understand, because there's certain things in the scriptures. Even with the lineages. All right, showing Jehu, the son of Nimshi. Then in one place it says Jehu, the son of Obed. You say, hold on, he's two different fathers.
Right.
No, that's just according to our culture, that's how certain names. You would be named after your You might be called after your grandfather's name. Things like that. So it comes with knowing, your heritage. All right, let me get that in real quick in Sirach. Sirach 24. It's like you're not Sirach 24. Sirach chapter 17. All right, Sirach chapter 17 and 11. It says, beside this, he gave them knowledge and the law of life for an heritage. So this is a custom that is part of your heritage. Genealogies, chronicles, certain books. You gotta get familiar with these things. That's all I have.
Con, what wouldn't answer your question? Con, you got it. Why does Yahweh make a situation where you're catching absolute hell? Like, what's the point of being here? Is there contact info regarding getting helpful?
Why does God make us go through a situation? I'm gonna tackle the first part. Why does God make us go through a situation where you're catching absolute hell? Well, why? Well, why not? That's the question you gotta ask, right? You gotta ask. You think I'm not talking to you personally, but I'm gonna just keep it real. You think everything is gonna be sweet, right? You think everything is gonna go smoothly? Hey, this is life. I remember my fourth grade Edomite teacher told me that a long time ago. I said that's not fair. I forgot what it was, and he said, "Guess what? Who said life ever was fair?" And I didn't understand that till I got about my older.
Yeah, Esau declaring wisdom.
Esau. So why does God make us go through a situation where you're catching absolute hell? Cause he wanted to. That's why. All right. And that's for manyfold different reasons. Let's go to Job. It could be a test. The Lord is just testing you so you could get stronger. The Most High could be doing that because of judgment. Let me get that first in Ecclesiastes chapter 8. But these are things we gotta start saying. Like, why not? You can't just get good just all good all the time. No, guess what? This is the condition of the battle. Let me go to Ecclesiastes chapter 8. Right, this is Ecclesiastes chapter 8 and verse number 5. It says, whoso keepeth the commandment shall feel no evil thing, and a wise man's heart discerneth both time and judgment. So you want to have a discernment between the time and the judgment. The Most High could be having you go through absolute hell because you've been going off. You've been sinning. You haven't been repenting. You haven't been keeping the commandments. You just been doing whatever you want to do. So the Lord putting you through that because that's judgment. Or the Most High could be putting you through that for a test to get you stronger. Because there's going to be obstacles in the future that you're going to have to overcome. And if you don't overcome that first, you're not going to be overcome what's ahead. Let me bring this out in Job. Hey, the Lord does this often with man. Right, it's Job chapter 2 and verse number 2. And the Lord said unto Satan, From whence comest thou? And Satan answered the Lord and said, From going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it. And the Lord said unto Satan, Hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and an upright man, one that feareth God and eschew evil, and still holdeth fast his integrity, although thou movest me against him to destroy him without a cause. And Satan answered the Lord and said, Skin for skin, yea, all that I may have will he give for his life. But now put forth thy hand now and touch his bone and his flesh, and he will curse thee to thy face. And the Lord said unto Satan, Behold, he is in thy hand, but save his life. So you had the Most High allowed Satan to test Job to see if he was going to remove his integrity and curse the Most High and die when Satan did something physically to him. So the Most High had the spiritual demon Satan take everything away from Job. His woman, his kids, his cattle, his skin. Now Job could have said, Job could have got upset. He could have gave up. You don't think Job was like, what is the point of being here? You think Job didn't say that? Hey, Job, he wanted to die, man. Read Job chapter 8. He said, let me get that in Job chapter 8. Right, it's Job chapter 8 and verse number, I believe that's Job 6.
Job 6 and 11.
Kind. Right. Oh, it's like it, Job 6 and 8. Right, it's Job chapter 6 and 8. It says, Oh, that I might have my request, and that God would grant me the thing that I long for. What is the thing that Job longed for? And he wanted to die. Right? Imagine the Most High put boils all over your skin, and then your wife looked at you and said, You need to curse God and die. And you'll be depressed. You'll want to be taken up out of the earth. It says, verse 9, even that it would please God to destroy me, that he would let loose his hand and cut me off. A Tobit was thinking the same thing. A Tobit, he had bird dung getting in his eyes and he was blind. Let me get that in Tobit chapter 3. Right? So this is a good question, but we got to tackle these things. Right? It's Tobit chapter 3 and verse number 6. Tobit 3 and 6. It says, Now therefore deal with me as seemeth best unto thee, and command my spirit to be taken from me, that I may be dissolved and become earth. For it is profitable for me to die rather than to live, because I have heard false reproaches and have much sorrow, and command therefore that I may be delivered out of this distress and go into everlasting place. Turn not thy face away from me. So a Tobit told the Most High, hey, command my spirit up right now. I don't want to be here anymore. But guess what? You know what that's called doing? That's the easy way out. Because while you want to get up out of here and die, because you're going through you're catching absolute hell, it's another man in the earth somewhere out there. He's catching absolute hell, and he's thriving and he's glorying in that tribulation. He's saying, hey, all praises to the Most High. I love this, man. I love when I catch hell. And he's smoting on his chest, screaming out the name of the Lord, saying, the water Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, by having me catch this hell. This feels good. I love this. Because he understands that this is just the beginning. That's nothing compared to what's going to be ahead of him. And he also understands that that's going to get him stronger. So instead of, playing in your mind, you have to train your mind to glory in tribulations. Let me get one more. Let me get Romans. Right? We love catching hell. Humbly speaking. Right? We love catching hell, man. Right? I love going through manifold things. You know, we love getting these things because guess what? We know it's gonna build our character. Right? This is the book of Romans, chapter 5 and verse number 3. And not only so, but we glory in tribulations also, knowing that tribulation worketh patience, and patience experience, and experience hope. So you want to glory in those tribulations. You catching hell, guess what? Say the water Yahweh Shai. All right. Say blessed be the name of the Lord. Hey, say, guess what? Let the Most High do what seemeth him good. Why? Because that tribulation worketh patience, patience worketh experience, and experience worketh hope. And hope maketh not ashamed, because the love of God is shed abroad in our hearts by the Holy Ghost, which is given unto us. But you got it.
That's right. All right. I mean, ultimately, you got to flip your mindset, right? You gotta flip your mindset, man. I mean, if the Lord, you understand this, the Most High is gonna give you what you're able to bear. The Most High want to build you up. I mean, you gotta grow. Growth causes you to be uncomfortable. Even these influencers in the world tells you that you want to grow your bank account. You don't want to be where you sit. You gotta be uncomfortable. You gotta do things you're not used to. You gotta go through things you're not used to. How you gonna learn experience if you don't experience anything? You're gonna experience good things. You're gonna experience bad things, man. Like the brother said, I mean, the Most High gonna give you good. The Most High gonna give you evil, and we gotta understand that. All right, let me go to Genesis chapter 40. All right, this is Genesis chapter 40, and now I start at verse 20. I start at verse 18. And it came to pass as I lifted up my voice and cried, right, that he left his garment with me and fled out. So you have an Egyptian woman lying on Joseph. This is Pharaoh's wife. Imagine Joe Biden's. No, that's not a good example, right? Imagine, imagine the first lady saying you touched her inappropriately. Hey, man, what's going to happen? You're going to have the Secret Service. Your face going to be all over the news, right? This guy molested the first lady. And guess what's going to happen? You're going to be thrown in the damn prison, man. Right? This is what happened to Joseph. Right? And it says, and it came to pass when his masters heard the words of his wife, which she spake unto him, saying, and she's lying. After this, manner did thy servant to me, that his wrath was kindled, and Joseph's master took him and put him into the prison, a place where the king's prisoner were bound, and he was there in the prison. Now, people may say, well, yeah, the Lord forsook him. I knew Joseph was off. Right? Yeah, he in prison. He locked up now. But what does it say next verse? Verse 21. But the Lord was with Joseph and showed him mercy and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. Right? So Joseph the Lord was still with Joseph, man. The Lord was still with Joseph even when he was at a lower state. And when you go into the account, hey, Joseph was in the prison for years, man. The baker forgot about him, man. I mean, I think it was the chef. Yeah, the chef forgot about him, man. Right? Until he had a dream. And he said, hold on, there's a Hebrew that knows this. So Joseph was in prison for years, man, to come. Locked up. But he never lost faith of the Lord. You understand, most of our forefathers, they died for a promise they never saw. Imagine you, Abraham, and the Lord tells you your seed is going to get the promised land. Moses, Jacob, I don't give a dang about my kids. I want to see it. Right? That's evil. But Jacob would be like, no, I want to see why I can't see it. Right? Most of our forefathers died for something they never saw, man. Prophesying ahead 2,000, 3,000 years. Right? And they got to go through hell for what they prophesying for. This is the book of Hebrews, chapter 11, and verse 13. These all died in faith, not having received the promises, but having seen them afar off, and were persuaded of them, and embraced them, and confessed that they were strangers and pilgrims on the earth, man. I mean, you get to actually see the prophecies. You get to see the hell you're going through for the prophecies that your forefathers went through, man. Isaiah was sawed in half. Joseph was locked up. Our forefathers was going through it. This is light tribulation. This is light. We go to 2 Corinthians chapter 4. All right, what if the Lord told you you got to drop everything and prophesy about something 1,500 years from now, and know you're not going to be able to see it, but you better die believing it? That's a lot of brothers wouldn't want to do that,
Right.
right? A lot of brothers wouldn't want to. What 2,000 years from now?
You gotta believe.
You got to believe that too. You got to believe it. And the Lord, I mean, look at Ezekiel's life, man. The Lord killed his wife and said, "You better not cry and get up and do the work the next morning." And that's what Ezekiel did, man. And now Ezekiel has an everlasting name in the word in the Bible. Is 2 Corinthians chapter 4 and verse 17. For our light affliction, which is but for a moment, worketh for us a far more exceeding and eternal weight of glory. So the Lord said, just go through a little bit so I can give you a lot. Ultimately, what the Lord is doing is proving you. He got to prove you. He got to see if you worthy to get this kingdom. He got to see if you can actually endure the straight and narrow things. We go to the book of 2 Ezra. The Lord ordained that after Adam transgressed his statutes, right? After Adam transgressed his statutes, that's what he had to do. Right? This 2 Ezra, I'm gonna start at verse 7 and verse 12. I'm gonna start at verse 11. Because for their sakes I made the world, and when Adam transgressed my statutes, then was the decreed that now is done. Then were the entrances of this world made narrow, full of sorrow and travail. So the entrances of this world were made narrow. You got sorrow, you got travail. What else? They are but few and evil, full of perils and very painful. For the entrances of the elder word were wide and short and brought immortal fruit. If then they that live labor not to enter into these straight and vain things, they can never receive those that are laid up for them. So the Lord said, your only opportunity to get salvation is going through the narrow and straight path. If you can't get through the narrow straight path, you will never touch the glory, man. So if the Lord's giving you affliction, think about it as the Lord giving you opportunity to show why you fit for the kingdom. If the Lord wasn't giving you opportunity, the Lord don't want to see what you got for the Lord don't not dealing with you, man. Right? The Lord wants to see that brother that goes through the labor and very painful things, man. That's the brother that's going to be qualified to get the kingdom. So look at it as a good thing. Flip your mindset. Like, okay, I got to go through this to get the kingdom. The more I go through this, the more my chances increase to get the kingdom. All praise to the Most High. Let's catch some more hell. That's how you got to think. All right. So I think it's just, we just got to flip our mindset a little bit. All right. Anything else on that? Come. Or are they two different times? No, same man, right? It's the same man, just do two different accounts, right? Doing the recorders, right? With eyewitnesses. Kadan, can you explain or break down Ezra chapter 4 and verse 1? Let's go to it. Khan, Ezra chapter 4 and verse 1. Now, when the adversaries of Judah and Benjamin heard that the children of the captivity builded the temple unto the Lord God of Israel, then they came to Zerubbabel and to the chief of the fathers and said unto them, let us build with you, for we seek your God as you do, and we do sacrifice to him since the days of Asarhaddon, king of Ashur, which brought us up hither. But Zerubbabel and Joshua and the rest of the chief of the fathers of Israel said unto them, you have nothing to do with us to build an house unto our God, but we ourselves together will build unto the Lord God of Israel, as King Cyrus, the king of Persia, commanded us. Then the people of the land weakened the hands of the people of Judah and troubled them in building, and hired counselors against them to frustrate their purpose all the days of Cyrus, king of Persia, even unto the reign of Darius, king of Persia. And in the reign of Ahasuerus, in the beginning of his reign, wrote they unto him an accusation against the inhabitants of Judah and Jerusalem. Oh, I mean, this has been going out all throughout history. I mean, this is nothing new. So what's going on here is when you're reading it, King Cyrus allowed our four. Wait, is it on me or you? It's on me, right?
Yeah, it's on you.
Yeah. I mean, when you go into it, we came. It's during the Persian Median Empire, and King Cyrus, through prophecy, you read about that in Jeremiah chapter 24 and 25. Right, and King Cyrus is going to allow our forefathers to go back to Jerusalem, build the temple. Anytime we start to build up the temple to the Lord, the other nations don't like that because we're coming back to our power and we're coming back to Yahweh Shem Yahshua. They don't like that. So what does the nations try to do? They try to be deceitful. Yeah, we seek your God with you. Yeah, we want to be Hebrews too, but they're only trying to really hinder the temple, hinder the building. Right? You read in verse 3, with Zerubbabel and Joshua and the rest of the fathers, they said, you have nothing to do with this. This has nothing to do with you. Right? The so-called white man in these other nations, anytime Jake is involved, they always want to be next to Jake. They always want to have some hand in what Jake is doing. They want to they always want to monitor stuff, man. Like they were just set up to be the man. This has nothing to do with you. Go over there. Right? And guess what? As soon as you tell a heathen no, as soon as you don't include a heathen, you're gonna start seeing their true colors. Now you're racist. Now you're a hate group. Right? Guess what? Now they writing letters to the king with false accusations against them, trying to hinder the building. Let me go to 2 Maccabees 5:1. This is let's go to the time of the Greeks, man. Right? Anytime we try to build the temple, the nations don't like that.
Yeah, I had a quick point.
Con.
Right, like you know what I'm saying? You out there teaching and heathen just come up. Edomite come, how can I join? I want to help you guys. You don't know what's going, and he don't know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Yeah, don't know what's going, and then get mad. You're racist when you say no. I'm dealing with my brother right now. They try to jump in and interject. They think they just have that authority. They just come in and stop. Well, this is what I think. Who is talking to you? Go about your. I don't even know you. That's what these heathens do. As soon as you shut them down, they don't like that. They have all right to not include you into their festivities, into their councils, into their board meetings. They don't even think about you when they're making political decisions. But let a Jake try to get a group together to do something for their God, for their people. Esau and these nations can't stand it, man. Right? This First Maccabees chapter 5. And they will use deceit too. Right? It's First Maccabees 5:1. Now, when the nations round about heard that the altar was built and the sanctuary renewed as before, it displeased them very much. Right? And they didn't like that. Now let's see what they tried to do. Verse 2, wherefore they thought to destroy the generation of Jacob that was among them, and thereupon they began to slay and destroy the people. And that's exactly what they did. They don't like that. They're not into that, man. And when we're rebuilding our temple, we coming back to our God and our true power source, they'll do anything to try to stop that. Right? They're going to do that again. The third abomination of desolation. They're going to try to stop us from teaching his words of the Lord. So all of these things are going to happen again, man. Let me go to Daniel chapter 9. Right, so there's nothing new. This is you got secret councils and different. Hey, that happened to Adam. Right, you got secret council against Adam, man, from these nations to overthrow him. Right, this book of Daniel chapter 9 and verse 27, and he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. Right, talking about the so-called white man. He's going to confirm the covenant. But what does Esau do? He likes to break his covenants. And it says, in the midst of the week, right, in the middle of that covenant, he shall cause the sacrifice and oblation to cease. And for the overspreading of abominations, he shall make it desolate, even to the consummation, and the determined shall be poured upon the desolate. Meaning, guess what? He's going to stop us from trying to teach the words of the Lord, stop this truth from going out. Right? Let me get one more precept. Let's go to Psalm chapter 57. These nations are crafty, they're deceitful, and they're doing, man. Right? This is the book of Psalm chapter 54:4. Right, and I'm sorry, verse 1. Hear my voice, O God, in my prayer. Preserve my life from fear of the enemy. Hide me from the secret counsels of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity. Yeah, it was a secret counsel for them to kind of go to the king in Ezra chapter 4, they're writing different accusations to the king, man. Right, trying to hinder the building. Yeah, we want to seek your God too. When has these nations ever want to sought out Yahweh Shem Yahshua? When has they ever bow down to the Lord willingly, man? If we didn't put a foot on their neck, right? And it says, verse 3, who whet their tongue like a sword and bend their bows to shoot arrows, even bitter words, that they may shoot in secret at the perfect. Suddenly do they shoot at him and fear not. They encourage themselves in an evil manner. They commune of laying snares privately, right? They lay traps privately, man. They say, who shall see them? They search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search. Both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep, right? They have deep thoughts, meditating upon how to get us to stop building a temple. Secret, elaborate traps and false doors for Jake to fall through, man. Right, but you got it.
Kind. It's the book of First Esdras, chapter 5, and verse number 72. Right? And a good example of that in real life is an old video with Ishmael, right? How it got started. That's a perfect example of a heathen trying to hinder the building. Hey, we was getting fished at. Hey, families was getting edified.
Can I show them an example real quick? When you look up WFI Chicago, that Muslim video is the first video that pops up. That's not even our most viewed video. They just want everybody to see that.
Yeah.
Let's pull up real quick. Let me see if I can pull it up. They just want everybody to see that. All right. See that? Okay, Con. All right, never mind. I think they changed the algorithm. Hold on. WFI Chicago. Right? And you kind of just see? Damn. Make it look like, you know what I'm saying? Just trying to hinder the building.
Yeah, that man in that video, that's a perfect example of him hindering the building. Hey, we was feeding families. Families was getting edified. Children was getting edified. People they finding out that Christ wasn't born on December 25th. Everything was going smooth. Then Satan, the heathen, came to hinder the work.
Right.
This First Esdras chapter 5 and verse number 72. But the heathen of the land, laying heavy upon the inhabitants of Judea, holding them straight, hindered their building, and by their secret plots and popular persuasions and commotions, they hindered the finishing of the building all the time that King Cyrus lived, so that they were hindered from building for the space of 2 years until the reign of Darius. Hey, so during the time, Zerubbabel and these men, the temple was hindered from building for 2 whole years because of the heathen secret plots and commotions and persuasions. Hey, that's off.
Mm-hmm.
Nevertheless, that's what it's going into.
Kanye, just going back to the earlier question, try not to buy it as well. If you kind of reading the labels, try to attempt to do 100% everything, if possible. But like I said, in this kingdom, you just never know. They can tell you it's 100%, but Moab over there kind of doing their thing, right? I have a friend who's in the truth and she's in an abusive marriage. How should she handle the situation? Is she still required to stay in her marriage? You got it.
Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 7. Right? If you have a friend, and she's in the truth and her marriage is abusive, how should she handle the situation? We're going to say, according to this precept, she should, most likely separate to be reconciled back. If it's abusive situation, we don't know the abusive situation well. The husband may be putting her hands on her. She may be putting her hands back on him, and it's a black eyes, and that's off. It's an account of brothers in the truth giving a woman the boxing gloves, right? Right?
Going over no precept.
Yeah. No precepts. You just hand your woman the gloves, say, get in there, put them on. Hey, that's off. right? I thought the Most High told the husbands to a what? Love your wives, even as your own self. You got men, man. It's a lot of madness going on, right? Nevertheless, this First Corinthians chapter 7 and verse number. I'm gonna start at verse. I'm gonna start at verse number 11. I'm gonna start at verse 10. 1 Corinthians 7 and 10. It says, "Unto the married I command, yet not I, but the Lord. Let not the wife depart from her husband." So really, the wife is not supposed to depart from her husband at all, because that marriage is supposed to be in the spirit of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua. But guess what? Things happen. We're underneath the curses. So if she's being physically abused, she needs to be separated. We're going to read that in verse 11. It says, and if she depart, let's say if she does depart for a reason, let her remain unmarried or be reconciled to her husband, and let not the husband put away his wife. So she could be set apart, but she has to remain unmarried. She can't be set apart saying, you know what, me and my husband, he didn't work out. It's been 2 months since we talked. I'm going to give me a new husband. That's off. So she has to remain unmarried for the rest of her life. Or, we would recommend through the spirit, she, get her a place where she could go to where she's safe, whether her mom's house or, a close by relative. Remain there, work on her marriage because she's still married until he dies. All right, until that man dies, she is bound to him as long as he lives. So maybe she needs to stay at a safe place where she can reside at. They work on their marriage to get it back on one accord through the spirit. And that's how marriage is. Marriage is a part of ups and downs. Nevertheless, marriage is you thugging it out and you staying together no matter what happens. Now, you don't want to be, not use wisdom and just stay there. All right? You just staying there. You just being abused and verbally abused, and you just, I just got to forgive him. You want to use wisdom. At the end of the day, you have to protect your well-being, your body, etc. So that would be my counsel.
Okay. You jump down. You was finished on that. Come, we hop in there. It's 1 Corinthians chapter 7. I'm sorry, verse 13. And the woman which hath an husband that believeth not, and if he be pleased to dwell with her, let her not leave him. Right. So if he's pleased to dwell with you, of course you're not supposed to leave him. Right. But hold on, verse 14. For the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife, and the unbelieving wife is sanctified by the husband. Else were your children unclean, but now are they holy. But if the unbelieving depart, let him depart. A brother or sister is not under bondage in such cases, but Yahweh have called us to peace. So the Most High called us to peace. And if the husband's not in the truth, and it's in a situation where it's an emergency, and you putting your hands on them, like brother said, it's wisdom for you to depart and not to stay in the house. You're not under bondage, right? He got your neck pinned to the floor. It says, "Call me Lord." And you barely can breathe, but you say, "This is for my marriage," or "This is for the Lord." You can't do that. It's going off. You gotta get out of there. Get you a hotel. You kind of, he telling you to eat. He said, "I don't want to eat." He smacked you in the face. He said, "You better eat it right now." He said, "Well, I don't want to eat." And he put the fork in your mouth. He said, "Is it good?" He said, "Yeah." Brother, he's forcing you to eat. Get out of there.
For
Under bondage. That's all.
force,
Yeah.
forcing you.
Yeah, now drink the water. You got to drink the water, and it's spilling all over your shirt, right? Aquaf said, "What's going on?" He said, "I was just really thirsty." Right? No, you're not under bondage. So you want to use wisdom. The Most High called us to peace. All right, so con. All right. So tell your, friend that, she got to get up out of there, man. All right. Con. I've been praying about literally the same thing for at least 20 days, and the Heavenly Father still hasn't made it come to pass. What's the issue, prophets? Like, I am trying to murmur. Come, let me get this person. Yeah, I mean, just because you pray, it's really up to the Lord when He wants to hear you, right? It's up to the Lord on when the Most High wants to. I'm trying to find this precept. Con on it, or even if the Most High wants to hear you. I mean, think about it like this. Let me go to Daniel. There's righteous men whose prayers that pierces the clouds, and there's men's prayers that take that kind of take a while, man. Depending on who you are and your works. It's Daniel chapter 10, and I'll start at verse. I'll start Daniel chapter 9, and I'll start at verse 21. Yea, whilst I was speaking in prayer, even the man Gabriel, whom I had seen in the vision at the beginning, being caused to fly swiftly, touched me about the time of the even oblation. And he informed me and talked with me and said, "Oh, Daniel, I am now come forth to give thee skill and understanding." So this is during the prayer of Daniel. Like as soon as he said Amen, Gabriel came, man. Immediately. Right? Verse 23, at the beginning of thy supplication, the commandment came forth. At the beginning of Daniel's prayer, hey, guess what? He was given the commandment to come forth unto Daniel. And I am come to show thee, for thou art greatly beloved. Therefore, understand the matter and consider the vision. So Daniel was considered greatly beloved in the eyes of the Most High and in the eyes of the angels, man. So as soon as his prayer started, guess what? Angel Gabriel came down and spoke with Daniel. So then you want to ask yourself, what type of man am I for the Most High? Right? What type of man does the Lord look at? So if you've been praying for 20 days and you feel like, the Most High is not moving his hand, you got to it always goes back to just re-examine you. Re-examine your works and, what's going on. And if you examine yourself, you're confident in, what you're doing, then it just goes back to having a matter of patience. Right? Because you want to be greatly beloved. You want your prayers to pierce the clouds of heaven, man. Just like Daniel's prayers was. Right, let me go to the book of Sirach. Right. It's the book of Sirach, chapter 7 and verse 8. Bind not one sin upon another, for in one thou shalt not be unpunished. Say not Yahweh will look upon the multitude of my oblations, and when I offer to the Most High, He will accept it. Yeah, you don't want to. That's be proud. Every time you pray, the Most High is going to hear me. The Most High doesn't have to. Over the multitude of your oblations, the multitude of your prayers, the Most High doesn't have to hear you, man. Now He could if He wants. You want to have faith that the Most High will answer your prayers, but it just goes back to how on fire have you really actually been for the Most High. You got men that will sacrifice a lot of oblations unto the Most High. Doesn't mean He'll accept it, right? And if you are, on fire for the Lord as you believe, then you have to have faith and you have to have patience as well in the Most High, right? The Most High is not going to move when you want Him to move. Let me go to the book of Judith, chapter 8. The Most High moves on His own accord, on His own timing. This is Judith, chapter 8. And verse 12. And now who are you that have tempted the Most High this day and stand instead of Yahweh amongst the children of men? And now try the Lord Almighty, but you shall never know anything. For you cannot find out the depth of the heart of man, neither can you perceive the things that he thinketh. Then how can you search out the Most High that have made all these things and know his mind or comprehend his purpose? Because we don't know the mind of the Lord. We barely understand the mind of man. You think you're going to search out on why the Most High is not answering your prayer after you've been praying for 20 days, right? You don't know the counsel of the Lord. The Most High can make everything happen tomorrow, Or the next day, right? Verse 14, nay, my brethren, provoke not the Lord our God to anger, for he will not help us within these few days. He have power to defend us when he will, even every day, or to destroy us before our enemies. Do not bind the counsel of the Lord our God, for the Most High is not as a man that he may be threatened, neither is he as the son of man that he should be wavering. Therefore, let us wait for the salvation of him, and he call upon to him to help us, and he will hear our voice if it please him. If it please him, meaning he doesn't accept your oblations. So if you've been praying for 20 days, brother, pray for 40 days. Pray for 60 days. Hey, there's prophets in the scriptures that have been praying every day continuously. I mean, think about like the brother said, Tobit, man. Blind. You don't think he prayed every day that his blindness went away? You don't think he prayed? How many times do you think he prayed for him to receive his sight? 8 years. Well, hold on, let me see something. All right. 8 years. That's 2,920 days. 2,920 days the man couldn't see. All right. So it just goes back to just having patience in the Most High. If you're confident, in your faith and what you've been doing for the Most High, then it just goes back to having patience. If you're not confident, then we want to make sure that we're greatly beloved in before the Most High, because Daniel's prayers was heard like this, right? As soon as he prayed, right? So we got to examine ourselves, right? You got it.
Can I get quick precepts? Right, it's Luke 18 and verse number 1. It says, and he spake a parable unto them to this end, that men ought to always pray and not to faint. So you got to always be praying and not faint. You can't be faint-hearted. Hey, Jeremiah, his prayer didn't get heard for 10 days. When you read Jeremiah chapter 42.
That's Jeremiah.
Hey, that's Jeremiah, man, the prophet. So, like the brother, that's an excellent precept in Judith, 8 and 14 through 16. Hey, what you gonna come to find out? The Most High do what he want to do. Who are you to gainsay the Most High? If the Lord don't answer my prayers, hey, he do what he want to do, and I'm fine with that. And if he answer my prayers, hey, all praise to the Most High the water. But if he don't, hey, it is what it is. Who am I? I can't question him.
Right.
And 9 out of 10, whatever you probably praying for, the Most High probably already gave it to you, but you just probably you didn't perceive it yet. We don't know what you prayed for. You might have been praying for more patience. Like we brought out the other day, the Lord is not going to just give you a handful of things full of patience. You just wake up one morning, you have all the patience. No, he's going to give you that opportunity to practice that patience, to increase on it. So the Lord is always, practical as well. Let me get this in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5. This is the book of 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 and verse number 17. It reads, pray without ceasing. Right, that's playing upon tables. Pray without ceasing. So we can move on.
Okay. You got it.
Can women cut their hair? Let me go to Romans chapter 5. There's no law saying a woman can't cut her hair. Now, can a woman shave her head bald? Right, you see them one movies, the Eve, she kind of going through it and she should shave her head bald. No, that's off. But if you kind of trim your hair and, there's nothing wrong with trimming your hair, cutting it a little bit shorter. Nevertheless, this Romans chapter 5 and 13. It says, for unto the law, sin was not in the world, but sin is not imputed where there is no law. So it's not a sin saying women cannot cut their hair. So if you're a woman, you can cut your hair, but you can't shave it bald. Now, I will say this. Let me go to 1 Corinthians. And it's just me speaking as a man. aspire all women, if you're a woman, to keep your hair, let it grow long. If
Come.
you're a woman, I'm going to explain why. It's First Corinthians chapter 11 and verse 6. 1 Corinthians 11 and 6, it reads, "For if the woman be not covered, let her be also shorn. But if it be a shame, but if it be a shame for a woman to be shorn or shaven, let her be covered." Jumping down to verse number 14. "Doth not even nature itself teach you that if a man have long hair, it is a shame unto him? But if a woman have long hair, it is a glory to her, for her hair is given for a covering." So I recommend, all women not to, cut your hair. This is me speaking, through wisdom as a man, because the Most High gave you that long. You have certain Eves, they have long, beautiful hair. Then they just cut it all off.
Or dye it 30
Yeah.
colors.
You said what?
Or dye it 30 colors.
See that? You dyeing your hair red, purple, green, and just cut it short. Just get finger waves, right? There's nothing wrong with that, but the Most High gave you that long hair for that's your glory. That's what makes you a woman. That's your covering. And studies already prove, you know what I'm saying, if a woman has longer hair, she's more likely to be more attractive. So, but now certain Eves, they do have to, cut the hair. Maybe the hair is damaged, it's uneven, things of that nature. But can women cut their hair? Yes, they can. You can, but no shaving it.
Yeah, you should want to have your hair, man. I know like what yeah, women that deal with split ends and all types of other stuff and mechanisms.
So ends.
Yeah, sewings and things like that, and all the ends and all the terminology I'm not aware of. Right. But at the end of the day, you want to keep as much hair as you can. It is like the brother said, considered attractive. And in judgment, the Most High will take away your hair, man. And the Lord has done it in times past. The Lord will snatch your roots from you. Literally, man. All your roots. All right. It's the second, this Isaiah chapter 3 and 24. And it shall come to pass that in the stead of sweet smell, there shall be a stink, and instead of a girdle, a rent, and instead of well set hair, baldness. Right? Meaning the most out, instead of well set hair, you have baldness. You got different weave and different, things in your head, man. Right? You want to have like I says, your prerogative is your head, but you want to have well set hair, to the best of your ability, especially a lot of Eves, they kind of struggle with that, but we can move on. When scripture says not to murmur, when scripture says not to murmur, does that mean murmur period, or murmur negative words against the Most High? Typically you don't want to murmur period, because you're when you're murmuring, about a situation you may be going through, or you're indirectly doing that to the Lord, because who put you in that situation? You're complaining about certain things. Chiefly, when you complain about things you can't control, you're doing that against the Lord, because the Lord is in control of those things, and show your lack of faith. So chiefly, you don't want to murmur, right? Because the Most High hears the sound of your voice. Let me go to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 4. All right, it's the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 4. Actually, 1. The book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 1 and verse 7. For the spirit of the Lord filleth the world, and that which containeth all things that have knowledge of the voice. Therefore, he that speaketh unrighteous things cannot be hid. So it says unrighteous things. Doesn't matter if it's to the Lord or to whatever, man. The Lord hears that. He hears everything. Right? And it says, neither shall vengeance when it punisheth pass by him. For inquisition shall be made into the counsel of the ungodly, and the sound of his words shall come unto the Lord for the manifestation of his wicked deeds. For the ear of jealousy heareth all things, and the noise of murmurings he can hear. So you want to stray away from murmuring in general. Complaining is not a good spirit. Anytime something don't go your way, you start complaining. What's really what it is? Murmuring is just complaining. Right? Somebody cut in front of you, you start complaining. You couldn't do it. It happened. So what? You gonna get mad now? You gonna start saying unrighteous things. Now you letting that anger boil up. Now you just start speaking unrighteous things to the Most High. The Lord said, verse 11, therefore beware of murmuring, which is unprofitable, and refrain your tongue from backbiting, for there is no word so secret that shall go for naught in the mouth that belieth slave the soul. So murmuring is unprofitable in every situation, every one of them. You don't want to develop that habit. You know, anytime something happens, you just know to be complaining. Like a little boy, man, or a little girl, right? Whatever is thrown your way, just accept it and just move on, right? But that was kind of plain. You got it, King.
Right. This Philippians chapter 2 and verse number 14. Do all things without murmurings and disputings. So all things should be done without murmur. The Lord hates complainers. Look at those men in the wilderness that murmur. You think they still here? You got certain brothers talking about some, yeah, those men they still here. No, those men they got put to death, man. Oh man, I wish we would have went back in. I was back in Egypt, man. With the melons and the cucumbers. Hey, guess what? Those men they got put to flight. The Lord is not dealing with complainers, because again, while you complaining, it's somebody out there that's thinking they're complaining, right? But this is the book of First Corinthians chapter 10 and verse number 10. It says, neither murmur ye, as some of them also murmured, and were destroyed of the destroyer. Now all these things happen unto them for examples, and they are written for our admonition, upon whom the ends of the world are come. Wherefore let him that thinketh he standeth take heed lest he fall. So guess what? Don't murmur like your forefathers did in the wilderness, right? Because they murmured and they got destroyed by the destroyer angel. Who was that destroyer angel? Hey, that's the Mashiach Malak Yahushua. And those men, they got put to death. Right. So, you know, and Jake, Israel will do that, man. Ask questions they already know, that just weird, we call it weird activity.
Yeah.
You don't have no water, and you saying, what shall we drink? What are we gonna drink? Hey, Jake could do that right on a physical level. So you ain't gonna give me no brisk. Hey, the Lord, that's weird activity.
Strange, strange behavior.
Yeah, we don't really get into all of that, but Israel, they do it, man. So turn that complaining into thanks. Your life would be 10 times much better.
Oh, definitely, man. Murmuring is like what 5-year-old girls do. Whining. Think about whining. When you complain, you're really whining. But why? Why? He is crying. Just the angels just like, what's wrong with him? You got it. Just looking at him like, shut up. All right, but you got it.
Yeah, it's this one Jake. We call him school, right? You got school at the workplace, man. He
Thanks.
like, yeah, that's what we call older, older men. School, old school. He like 50 some, 60 years old. He always come. He always. I can't work with him because he always crying. So I mean, one time he came back from a break and nobody was lying. Nobody was, throwing the boxes on the line. And he talking about something. So ain't nobody throwing boxes. He said, so ain't nobody throwing boxes. All right, just whining. And they had the female manager. She getting all emotional. She's saying, "What's wrong?" He's like, "Nothing, nothing." So you don't want to be in that spirit, man. Just crying.
Yeah, especially the older you get, is the less comely it is. Especially as a man, man. Nobody, no woman want a man that's complaining all the time. You know what I'm saying? So, Khan, yeah, beware of murmurings, for they are not hid, right? But Khan, all praise to the Most High for another Wednesday Q&A. If we didn't get to your questions, Lord willing, we can get to it next week. Most High willingly, can actually do another one tomorrow if it be the Lord's will. But if not, next week we'll hop right back into it. So if your question didn't get answered, it can get answered next week, Lord willing. Man. I know a lot of people have some questions. Cape Paradise, we are Israel Yah, right? Eliyahu Banyamin, right? So Lord willing, we can gotta get your questions next week. Lord willing, you was edified through the questions we did answer. We like to give our praises to Yahweh, Bashem Yahushua, Brother Zabayala.
Brother Tazama.
Let's be the mighty strong. Shalom, shalom.
Shalom.